Enneagram Self-Discovery Through a Unique Personality Types Analysis, written by Stephanie White, narrated by Kip Ferguson. Chapter 1. The Enneagram. The Enneagram is a personality typing system based around 9 distinct personality types, the theory being that everyone falls into one of these 9 categories. Some say that it is an ancient system with its origins traceable to Sufism. Others suggest that it is much more recent. However, it is an interesting system with more complexity than meets the eye at first glance. Our personality develops in childhood. It is our coping strategy which we develop to deal with our own personal environment. There are 9 distinct patterns recognized in the Enneagram, but it also predicts how each of the 9 personalities will change under stress and additionally when we are feeling completely secure. So, why would we wish to classify anyone as a specific personality type? Well, despite the fact that we can go to the moon, most of us have huge difficulty understanding each other. A key to being able to understand other people is to first develop a proper understanding of ourselves, and one way of doing that is to take a look at ourselves via the Enneagram. It is not an easy thing to put your own personality under the microscope. You have to be prepared to hear and discover things about yourself that you may not necessarily want to know. You may not like some of the things you discover. There is no point in finding out something about yourself if you are not prepared to address the findings, and changing your behavior takes time, work, and a good deal of commitment. A couple of points to bear in mind when using Enneagram. Firstly, we need to recognize that all personality types are essentially positive and that any negative behavior you may become aware of can be remedied. Secondly, you should be very careful about typing someone else, i.e., putting somebody into a specific Enneagram category. Knowing where someone else sits on the 9 points can certainly lead to an improved understanding and better communication. But the downside is that it can also lead to stereotyping people, and that might lead you to associate specific negative reactions with certain people. For example, we run the risk of deciding that because somebody is a type 7, this means they're uncommitted and always will be, or if someone is a type 9, they will be lazy. By stereotyping people and seeking to predict their reactions, we are imposing our own prejudiced ideas, and that's just not a good thing. As we will see, each of the 9 types of personality has positive and negative characteristics. This makes perfect sense since no human being is perfect, but it is not healthy to concentrate on the negative aspects of anyone's character. Accepting people for who they are and not what we want them to be leads to improved communication and more enjoyable human relationships. What does the term Enneagram actually mean? Broken down, the words Ennea and gram mean 9 and model, respectively. So, what are the 9 personality types? The actual names will depend on whichever Enneagram teacher you follow, but the underlying classifications are broadly the same. The perfectionist reformer, the giver-helper, the performer-achiever, the individualist, the observer, the investigator, the trooper-loyalist, dreamer-enthusiast, confronter, the boss-challenger, and peacemaker-mediator. By knowing your own type, you become much more understanding of other people's reactions. Motivating yourself to achieve things in life will become easier if you understand the drivers for your own behavior. Followers of the Enneagram believe that everyone has one primary underlying motivational driver that, to a large extent, determines our thoughts, feelings, and actions. This underlying driver or passion creates a person's paradigm or view of life. The passion is given a negative name, but it does not mean that the personality type is negative. It means that the personality is primarily addicted to that specific behavior. But this is the raw material. With work, self-examination, and understanding, all personality types are capable of turning this negative into a positive. For example, type 2, the giver, believes that everyone needs help. The underlying motivation is pride. The type 2 personality takes pride in believing that it can help everyone, thus developing an inflated sense of self-worth. But by examining and understanding this motivation in life, It can convert this pride to humility and use its natural gift for helping people in a better way. The underlying driver for type 9 is sloth, i.e., being lazy about life. Making decisions takes energy since they must weigh up both sides of the argument. So it's easier just to ignore difficulties and wait for them to go away or for someone else to resolve them. 9s value harmony above everything else. If an understanding of this driver is not developed, they will spend their lives trying to avoid conflict or sidestepping arguments. But 9s, like all the other personality types, can be a fantastic asset to the world. Once they understand that their basic underlying motivation is sloth, they can improve by setting small goals and structuring processes to ensure that they achieve them. Their natural wish to avoid conflict allows them to develop emotional detachment, which is very useful in volatile situations. It is very important to realize that everyone has only one type. You cannot be a member of two camps. Some people, especially those that have just started studying the Enneagram, think that they are a mixture of the different personality types. They identify characteristics which appear to support this theory. Our personal characteristics are not the same as our underlying motivation. We can have similar characteristics and reactions to other people and yet be totally different personality types. It may be difficult to classify yourself as a particular type. We all have an image of who we are rather than knowledge of who we are. It might be useful to ask a very close friend whom you trust 100% to give you some feedback on your personality. Be careful though. Not all friendships can survive this type of honesty. And remember that each personality type has positive and negative aspects associated with it. Don't get hung up about the negatives. Instead, pour all your energy into developing the positive aspects of your character. Origin of the Enneagram. The Enneagram is one of the many personality profiling systems in the world today. However, its origins remain relatively unclear. There are groups of people who believe that the Enneagram first originated in the 10th or 11th century among the Sufi, which is a mystical set of Islam. There are also others who believe that the Enneagram existed much earlier, back in 2500 BC in Babylon, the Middle East of today. Regardless of when the Enneagram was created, it still remains a very accurate tool to profile people today, simply because human nature has not really changed all these years. The Enneagram is also one of the few dynamic profiling systems around. Instead of boxing people up, it describes how a person will behave when feeling good or under stress and shows the way a person should grow in order to achieve his or her potential in life. In total, there are 9 basic personality types, and these personalities are described using numbers instead of words. The reason for using numbers is to keep things neutral. Words have a tendency to create meaning in our minds, and we might unknowingly become biased towards certain types because of cultural or societal influence. Thus, the 9 types are denoted by numbers ranging from 1 to 9, and the numbers bear similar weights, which means that having a bigger personality number does not translate to being better or worse. You will come across different Enneagram teachings that use different words to describe the types. Do remember that the descriptions are really for illustration and are meant to help you understand the type better. Different sources will use different words to describe each type, so you need not get confused over that. Each personality type has got 9 levels of health, starting from the healthiest at level 1 to the unhealthiest at level 9. So if you compute all possible combinations using the wings and lines along with levels of health, you are looking at potentially 486 variations of personality types. With so many possible combinations, how do you accurately profile somebody? Unlike many other personality profiling that require the use of surveys or questionnaires, you can actually profile somebody with the Enneagram simply through observation. Of course, the length of time for your observation will definitely affect the accuracy of your profiling. Though we will effectively be of only one basic type, every one of us will react according to different situations and environments that we are in. Therefore, it is no surprise that we will display characteristics of all 9 personality types throughout our lives. So, the best time to observe someone is during their downtime or most natural state. You can still use a questionnaire to profile somebody or to confirm your observations. However, with time and practice, you will realize that you can make do without a questionnaire. That would give you a huge boost in improving your interpersonal communication skills and will definitely add greater value to you as an effective communicator. Chapter 2. How to Discover Your Type. Enneagram. Are you sure of your type? Are you mistyped? One of the big considerations in the study of the modern Enneagram is mistyping. You probably know someone who typed themselves based on a book or website, and you might not agree with what they decided. And, as hard as this is to hear, many of us type ourselves based on who we hope or think we are, instead of how we really are. This chapter is meant to help you affirm your type or help you discover your type for the first time while avoiding the common pitfalls that come with self-typing. Without further ado, here are the things to consider when finding or affirming your type. 1. Make sure you have a basic understanding of each type before you delve into typing yourself. Just like you need to know the premise of how a car works before deciding if it's the brakes or the radiator, you have to have an understanding of the 9 types before you can know with certainty of your own type. I would suggest looking at http://www.enneagrambook.com to get a feel for each type. While you're browsing, make sure to note any types that you feel are really you or really not you. 2. Take the free Enneagram test. There are a few tests out there that will attempt to find your type by an online test. Although these are far from infallible, they certainly are a part of the process. I won't recommend one in particular, but you can Google Enneagram test to find one that suits your needs. 3. Answer the questions on the test honestly. Make sure you don't answer the way you like to think of yourself or want yourself to be. It's so easy to do this, but the value in the Enneagram is only available to you if you get your correct type. So make sure to be honest. 4. Remember that all types are equal. Many times people hear they are a 4 and wonder if that is less than a 1 or half of an 8. The numbers are just symbols. All the types are different, equal, interesting, beautiful, and have something to offer. Love your type. 5. Find your wing. Each Enneagram type has a wing. Wings can make a huge difference in your type. Although not everyone agrees on the authenticity of the wing, I have found it to be true more of the time than false, so I still suggest it. Your wing can be one of the 2 numbers sequentially adjacent to your type number. For instance, a type 3 could have a wing of a 2 or a 4. It would be written like this, 3W2 or 3W4. A type 6 could have a 5 wing or a 7 wing. See the pattern? In order to find your wing, I would look at enneagrambook.com under your type number and find the wing section and see which one seems to fit you more. The wings are typically much easier to decipher than your type. 6. Remember that you might not see your type so clearly in yourself. It is very hard to see ourselves with objectivity. You might not see the parts of you that make up your Enneagram type immediately. That's why it is important to do step number 7. 7. Find a study group, student, or practitioner of the Enneagram to affirm your findings and help you take the next step. Find a local Enneagram group that you can call or go to a meeting. It is very easy for someone to hang out with you for a couple of hours, and after having a few conversations, let you know if you found the right number. Someone's type is a lot about their energy, and someone who has been practicing and studying the Enneagram for a while has honed their aim. Plus, a great many teachers think the oral tradition of the Enneagram is really the only way the lineage can be passed. So if you are truly interested, having a group of friends and a group to learn with and from is truly the most powerful tool you can have. Chapter 3. Type of Enneagram. You can gain a lot from knowing your type and others around you than just, say, discovering which color your personality is. With Enneagram, you can really gain an insight into yourself and find out what truly motivates you at the core. Rediscover your passion. The reformer, the helper, the achiever, the individualist, the observer, the loyalist, the enthusiast, the challenger, the peacemaker. Welcome to a fresh outlook on personality, simple yet deep-reaching system on human personality types. The Enneagram can help you find what really drives you and every other person you know in life, and how to make the most of that knowledge. Consider for a moment. Does work feel like little more than torture, and you're going through your days like a zombie? Wake up, go to work, come home late and tired, maybe grumpy, flop down on bed, rinse, and repeat. Well, maybe the answer is simple. If your job doesn't fulfill your inner motivation, it's never going to feel very satisfying for you. You're just going through the motions. Or, if work is awesome and you'd just like to understand people better, like your crush, or that quiet girl who won't leave the corner, or even that annoying guy who won't stop bragging. Enneagram can be a tremendous help in looking at things from their viewpoints. You can learn how to get along with specific kinds of people, your compatibility with them, and even what they think about you. Learn what makes them and yourself happy. And I promise you, it'll be just as fun as discovering what color your personality is, if not more. Below is a brief preview on all 9 personality types. The detail will be discussed in the next chapter. Type 1. The reformer/the perfectionist. Reformers live by high standards because they always strive to do everything correctly and to make everything right. They are the most reliable people you'd ever meet, fair and honest, firmly holding up principles and ethics. Ever realistic and reasonable, they strive for an ideal, but they're far from an idle dreamer. In life, perfectionists want to avoid anger and mistakes. Type 2. The helper. Everyone likes to be accepted, appreciated, and needed. Helpers make this an essence of life. They try to achieve that by projecting a positive, warm presence and looking to care for the needs of people around them. As a result, people mostly love having them around. Helpers want to avoid a needy impression. Type 3. The achiever. The achiever's drive is to succeed and to be productive, and everything they do revolve around these goals. Ever self-assured, they are everything they seem to be and tend to be role models that inspire others. Achievers abhor failure and try their best to avoid it. Type 4. The individualist. The individualists live on the very border between real life and fantasy life. They almost seem to fade in and out between the two, always comparing what they actually have and what they would like to have, but mostly can't. Individualists are driven to find the true meaning of life, to discover themselves, to seek the things they want in life, and not to be just another face. They want to be special, because indeed, these individuals are special, and you better know that. Type 5. The observer. Observers like pursuing their various interests and thoughts alone. They are motivated by the deep need to know and understand everything and to be self-sufficient. Observers wish for themselves, and only for themselves, not others, to control them, making them the ultimate independent individuals. They seek to avoid appearing stupid or clueless. Type 6. The loyalist. Loyalists seek the sense of security first and foremost. Loyalists come in many flavors, from the withdrawn and stiff to the daring and confronting. There are 2 kinds of the 6s, phobias and contraphobias. The former appears fearful and seeks approval. The later fights their fear, appearing fearless and blunt. Both are centered around dealing with fear. Type 7. The enthusiast. If you know no bounds of age, always springy, always active, and always busy, you are most likely a 7, an enthusiast. Enthusiasts are motivated by the need to be happy and to have fun, to be a contribution to the world, and to eliminate pain and suffering. Type 8. The challenger. The first word that comes to mind to describe the people of this type would have to be strong, because challengers aspire to be, and are, strong and self-dependent. They want to avoid being seen as weak, and the people who somehow think they are would very soon get what's coming to them anyways. Type 9. The peacemaker. The peacemakers are simply made to be adaptable and neutral, since they have a deep need to keep peace and merge with others, as well as to avoid conflict. Since they are so adaptable, they are significantly influenced by the other 8 types around them. As a result, there is a wide array of peacemakers, from those with gentle, soft personalities to strong, independent ones. Chapter 4. Enneagram and the 9 Personality. Enneagram Type 1, the Perfectionist. This personality type is also called the Reformer. Their underlying motivation is anger. They pursue perfection in life, and when it doesn't happen, they often get angry and then very anxious. They are extremely loyal people with high moral values who work very hard to protect and look after their family and loved ones. They have many positive qualities. They have an excellent eye for detail, for example. In effect, they will dot all the letters I and cross all the letters T in everything they do. Driven by a harsh inner critic, they always try very hard to make sure everything they do is as perfect as it can be. This triggers their need to improve, which can be beneficial for all concerned, but which can also prove to be burdensome to both the Type 1 and those who are on the receiving end of the Type 1's reform efforts. But they always have negative qualities. They can be very quick to judge other people, although they feel very guilty doing so. Despite their obvious gifts, they often cannot appreciate their own value and tend to struggle with their inner critic, the voice inside their head telling them how useless they are. They tend to believe that others are just being nice when they give them a compliment. As they are perfectionists, they put themselves under constant pressure to do better, work harder, and achieve more. This can make them appear pushy and uncaring in group situations. Are you a perfectionist? Do you have a loud inner voice continually criticizing you? Do you often wonder how you could have done something better or faster? Do you have difficulty accepting compliments about your work? Do you wish you were easier going? Do you redo the work of others as it doesn't live up to your standards? Have other people called you a perfectionist? If you have identified yourself as a perfectionist, then try these simple tips to help restore the positive aspects of your personality type. Learn how to accept a compliment and believe in its sincerity. Learn how to relax more. You need to take some personal time out to just enjoy yourself. Find ways of silencing your inner critic. Retrain your thoughts to become more positive. Work on the most negative qualities of your personality type. A tendency to get angry with others, an inclination to be judgmental, and a belief that it is your role to set the world straight regardless of the consequences. Following study and evaluation of yourself, you can learn to manage these negatives so that your personality will attach itself to the positive characteristics of your type. Being hard-working, direct when appropriate, and attempting to change the world for the benefit of others are your positive qualities, and these will be naturally highlighted when you learn to control the negatives. Enneagram Type 2, the Giver/Helper. Helpers want to help the world and its mother. They tend to take on everyone's problems as they believe that they can fix them. Their primary motivation is pride. Everyone, they tend to think, needs help. Their positive qualities are that they are extremely kind and helpful to their fellow beings. They make wonderful supporters and right-hand people as they essentially enjoy being the providers of help. The welfare of the individual is the most important thing. The giver personality type does not, by and large, tend to make a good leader. They generally do not like goals and are not primarily task-oriented. They can allow themselves to become too emotionally involved, which can often lead to negative feelings, such as the impression of being used. These negative feelings can sometimes cause a lack of objectivity, and they can easily lose sight of their role. Helpers are usually spared from having to deal with their own neediness and problems as they are far too busy helping others. They can often be poor decision makers as they often miss the big picture. The needs of the individual they are helping at that moment in time are paramount as far as they are concerned. Are you a helper? Do you hate doing certain tasks you have to perform because you just don't see the point in them? Are you happiest when you are helping others achieve their goals or sort out their problems? Do you often feel taken for granted as people that you have helped fail to thank you enough? Do you find that you often start projects but fail to see them through as you are distracted by other people and their issues? If you have identified yourself as a helper, then try these simple tips to help restore the positive aspects of your personality type. Identify your own needs and spend some time on meeting these needs. Make a diary note if necessary, perhaps telling yourself that you cannot help X, Y, or Z until you have done at least one thing on your list to help yourself. Start believing that you are not responsible for everyone else and you cannot fix all the problems. Get better at identifying when people really need your help and when they are best left alone to sort themselves out. You can turn your tendency to seek approval from others and your tendency to crave attention into the more positive attributes of compassion and focus on other human beings. This will help you to build long-lasting friendships that help meet your underlying motivation to feel needed in a much more positive way. Enneagram Type 3, the performer/achiever. Performers are free thinkers who tend to harbor a deep-seated fear of failure. They often measure success based upon the respect and approval they receive from others. They are image-oriented people who can provide an outwardly positive, well-groomed appearance despite sometimes feeling completely desperate and negative about their lives. They are great politicians as they instinctively know when to say nothing. They also excel in selling and advertising roles as their positivity and go-getting approach tends to attract other people. Their positive qualities can make them great leaders, but in their drive for success, they can sometimes cause resentment and frustration. They will rely on their natural charisma and charm to get them out of these sticky personal relationship difficulties. They are natural talkers, and being so optimistic and confident, they believe they could probably sell snow to the Eskimos. The negative side of their personality type is that they cannot bear any criticism, even if meant constructively. They often interpret being criticized as failing. Being masters of communication, they can easily use sarcasm as a means of putting someone else down. As their primary motivator is a fear of failure, they will be intolerant of any behavior which is socially unacceptable. This can extend to their children's poor table manners, rudeness, or boldness. Anything that could potentially reflect badly on them is simply not tolerated. Are you a performer? Do you often feel like you're wearing a mask or acting a role? The world sees a confident go-getter whilst you might see someone who is a bit of a failure. Do you have very few close friends, but a number of friendly acquaintances mainly related to your field of work? Is it difficult for you to relax and just do nothing? Do you worry about letting people get too close to you in case they see you're in fact a failure? Do you worry that other people you work with will eventually find out that you're not really capable of doing anything right? Try these simple tips to help restore the positive aspects of your personality type if you are a succeeder. Allow other people to love the real you, not your job or your financial status. Learn to accept yourself. Get rid of the mask. Whilst nobody likes a serial moaner, people who are always on top of the world can be difficult to live with too. Try to appreciate your life as it currently stands. Stop waiting for the next pay raise or promotion to enjoy life. You can learn to channel your negative characteristics of frantic activity into goal setting. Instead of focusing on outer success, use your natural abilities to work for the benefit of everyone's success. Enneagram Type 4, the individualist. Type 4s tend to see their lives as a kind of tragedy. They tend to be constantly living in the past and feeling that life has somehow passed them by. They fundamentally feel that something is missing as they cannot accept the ordinariness of their everyday lives. However, they do tend to like being the center of attention. The romantic, in the sense of the romantic movement in art, Wilde, Byronic, is also known as the individualist. They have clear values and standards and tend to be very sensitive. When this sensitivity is used positively, they are sensible, perceptive people aware of the needs and wants of their fellow human beings. They make very loyal friends and show great compassion for other people. They make great teachers as they have the ability to inspire others, even to greatness. But when used negatively, this sensitivity translates into highly strung, touchy people who can be very difficult to live with. They can be quick to delegate responsibility for everything, including their own lives, as they get easily bored with normal things. They want the romantic dream, but often lose interest when it actually becomes available. Past relationships become more perfect as time passes, and the current relationships pale in comparison. They cannot see that their current life would make them happy if they just accepted what they had. Some questions to ask if you think you may be a 4. Are you locked in the past, examining relationships that might have been? Do you tend to gravitate towards the dramatic side of life, clothes, food, and people? Do you often experience so many different emotions that you're not sure what you're feeling and become overwhelmed? Do you suffer a sense of loss or abandonment even when a close, nurturing relationship? Tips to try to minimize the negative aspects include: mourn a past relationship, but make sure you can let it go. Stop dwelling on and reinventing the past. Work on reducing the dramatic tantrums and learn how to control your mood swings. Recognize the merits of your current life and partner. Use your sensitivity to help others deal with their pain whilst building a support network to comfort you when you need it. You can minimize your introspective behavior and feelings of discouragement and concentrate on loving yourself and using your natural abilities to show compassion and help your fellow man. Enneagram Type 5, the Observer. As the name suggests, this personality type watches the world go by from the safety of their ivory tower. They aim to achieve greater clarity and understanding of the world around them. They don't like confrontation or dissent, so tend to take the third-party view, refusing to get involved in any family squabbles. They tend to make headstrong leaders as they are fully confident in their own abilities. They know that they will either have a deeper understanding of the subject matter already or else have the ability to learn it. Observers are happy to make decisions in the workplace as they believe in logical thinking, but will pass the responsibility for emotional decisions, i.e., those involved in a relationship, to the other party. The positive aspects of this personality type are their curiosity in people and the world around them, and this makes them willing to try new ideas. They have great courage and tend to be non-judgmental of other human beings. They encourage others to develop their own independence as they are happy to delegate and trust others in their team. The negative behavior with this personality type, as with the other types, a distortion of their strengths. As they are analytical by nature, they believe that everyone is in control of their life, so can be quite unsympathetic. They do not believe in fate, so any misfortune you may suffer is down to your own incompetence. Observers tend to be bad at asking for help, as they believe that they already know everything they need to know or have the ability to find out. This makes them very resourceful people, but they can also be difficult for others to live with. Are you an observer? Try these questions. Do you have a thirst for knowledge and information? Do you find other people's lack of logical thinking to be extremely irritating? Do you find yourself becoming excited by anything new, unexpected, and are quickly bored by repetition? Some simple tips to help reinforce the positive side of this personality type: learn to value spontaneity. Not everything has to be planned down to the last detail. Believe in your freedom to express your emotions. It is okay to ask for help. You cannot possibly know everything. Instead of being selfish and uncompromising, acknowledge the world around you and use your knowledge freely to help others. Personality Type 6, the Loyalist. Type 6 is the core type of the mind triad, with types 5 and 7 being the variants. Core belief: the world is unsafe and threatening. I must be loyal and question authority. With this core belief, the 6's focus of attention is on looking out for what can go wrong. Is there any danger about, and who can they trust? Danger elicits the emotion of fear. 6's deal with this fear in two ways. They show their fear and seek approval, phobic 6's, or they hide their fear through being daring and confrontational, counterphobic 6's. In reality, 6's often display elements of both traits. With their focus of scanning the environment around them for trouble or danger, 6's develop sharp minds. They have the ability to spot trouble or problems ahead and can plan ahead to avoid them. They make great troubleshooters, brought in by companies to see what is going wrong or could go wrong and find a way of avoiding that situation. At their best, 6's are very loyal. It may take a while to win their trust, but once you do, 6's will stand by you. They are very likable and compassionate. They are also very pragmatic and helpful. They can help you see things which you might have otherwise missed and find solutions by exploring multiple options and deciding which is right for you. Whilst very loyal, 6's can also be wary of authority figures. They may test this authority to find out if the person is worthy of their trust. This wariness of authority means they are often drawn to stand up for the underdog in a situation. The downside of anxiously looking out for trouble or danger is that you can become hyper-vigilant and spot trouble or danger where none may exist. Imagining the worst, they continuously run this in their minds to the point at which they start to accept their imagination as reality. They have forgotten that this was just a what-if scenario, and paranoia has kicked in. At this point, they can become very defensive and inflexible, and sometimes bring about the feared outcome just through their behavioral reaction to the perceived threat. Examples of sixes, real and/or fictional: Woody Allen, actor and director; Private Eye magazine in the UK; Richard Nixon, the U.S. President; Julia Roberts, actress; Princess Diana, Duchess of Wales. Enneagram Type 7, the enthusiast. People of this personality type are essentially concerned that their lives be an exciting adventure. Sevens are future-oriented, restless people who are generally convinced that something better is just around the corner. They are quick thinkers who have a great deal of energy and who make lots of plans. They tend to be extroverted, multi-talented, creative, and open-minded. They are enthusiasts who enjoy the pleasures of the senses and who don't believe in any form of self-denial. Sevens are practical people who have multiple skills. They know how to network and to promote themselves and their interests. They often have an entrepreneurial spirit and are able to convey their enthusiasm to those with whom they come in contact. When they are able to focus their talents, they are often highly successful. Focusing does not always come easily for sevens, however. Their tendency to believe that something better awaits them makes them reluctant to narrow down their options or to pursue their aims with true devotion. The most important problem for sevens is that their pursuit of pleasure is compulsive. Sevens are fear types who are specifically afraid of the power of negative states of mind. These they avoid by seeking distractions in the external environment, by multitasking, by keeping their options open, by engaging in stimulation seeking of all kinds. For this reason, sevens are more prone than most to addictions of all sorts, whether it be to shopping, gambling, drugs, or whatever. Sevens usually have a high opinion of themselves and their talents. They tend to focus on their strengths and virtues and to downplay their flaws and vices. They're often a bit self-centered, which manifests in an unfounded feeling of entitlement. As sevens don't want to confront their own darker emotions, they also have difficulty acknowledging the pain that others experience, so that they sometimes have a hard time seeing the reality of other people. The extent of the seven's flight from negative emotions is really a measure of the seven's mental health. The more that the seven flees from them, the more their strength grows, and the more likely they are to erupt in consciousness in the form of an anxiety disorder or a severe depressive episode. As they are outward-looking and not especially prone to introspection, it is not uncommon for sevens to mistype themselves. Sometimes they mistype as eights, as sevens too can be domineering, especially if 8 is the dominant wing. But 8s are not anxious, and they lack the quick mental energy that is characteristic of the 7. 7s can easily mistype as 3s, but 3s are much more single-minded than 7s and don't suffer from the desire to keep all options open. Surprisingly, 7s can mistype as 4s. When they recognize the disparity between the optimistic, fun-loving persona that they project to the world and their own often anxious internal mental states, they can confuse their pain with the melancholy of type 4. 7s are in flight from this pain, however, whereas 4s often cultivate their negative mental states. Enneagram Type 8, the confronter/boss. Big on authenticity, they tend to call a spade, and perhaps, as a consequence, somewhat low on empathy. Type 8s tend to thrive on challenge and are prepared to deal with just about anything that life has to offer. They see themselves as the knights of the kingdom, and their job is to protect the innocent and the less able. Their underlying motivation is a feeling of weakness, so to avoid this, Type 8s develop a heightened sense of power. You can feel their presence as soon as they enter a room. These personality types thrive in the military or political world. From a positive viewpoint, their personality makeup means that they are extremely resourceful and will always stand up for those they view to be less able. They also encourage others to have more beliefs than themselves and to stand firm in their convictions. They tend to believe that the end justifies the means, so manipulate situations to their advantage. They tend to see situations in a black and white way, which can cause them to be inflexible. Their underlying desire is for power, not prestige, which can lead to bullying. They have the innate ability to spot a weakness in their opponents. They may not always win the battle, but if you take them on, you will know you have been in a fight. Do you think you may fit the role of the confronter/boss? Do you often find yourself fighting for other people's rights with no fear of any repercussions? Do people who take ages to make a point irritate you the most? Are you a natural leader? Do you think you are a practical person, i.e., the one to get the job done? Some tips to help make the positive side of your personality type shine through. Learn to control your confrontational side. Life is not black and white. Human beings create complex problems, and it may not always be apparent which side is the right one. Learn to allow others to take the lead sometimes. Learn to manage your anger properly. Suppressing your angry feelings isn't enough, as that can cause problems too. Enneagram Type 9, Mediator/Peacemaker. This personality type wants to create harmony between themselves and the rest of the world. They will suppress their emotions for fear of rocking the boat. They believe that you shouldn't make waves. You can't please everyone, so why bother even trying? Their underlying motivation is laziness. They tend to be resourceful and tend to apply common sense to resolve any problems or issues they come across. You have probably heard someone being described as a gentle giant. This would be a perfect description for this personality type. Once they have mastered their personality type, the positive elements of inner peace and tranquility make them experts at dealing with difficult people. Being even-tempered, they do not rise to the bait, and hence their presence has a calming influence on most volatile situations. They are able to maintain a healthy detachment, thus preventing the need to take sides in an argument. For this reason, they make excellent arbiters. But mediators can suffer from a lack of self-esteem, which causes them to dwell on the past. They don't value themselves or their input to relationships, which helps them to justify their underlying motivation of laziness. Their view being, my input isn't that important, so why waste my time and energy putting it across? In the working world, although very capable at their jobs, they will often avoid getting promoted into positions that involve stress and responsibility. As they wish to avoid conflict at all costs, they will often ignore even a direct question if they know that the answer will upset anyone. They will maintain the silence until the other party either solves the problem or gives up trying. By enforcing silence, they don't have to cause conflict or deal with the fallout. So, are you a mediator? Do people comment on the fact that you will do anything to avoid an argument, even leaving if necessary? Do you work on the basis that if you keep your thoughts to yourself, you can't cause an argument? Do people perceive you as easygoing, whilst inside you may be in turmoil? Do you prefer the simple pleasures in life? Some tips to help your positive qualities shine through. Try setting some personal goals and impose deadlines by which they must be achieved. Learn to recognize what you want rather than what others want. Using small steps, try making a point of making a decision. When someone asks you a question, think about what you want and admit to it rather than keeping quiet. Stop doubting yourself and learn to accept and love yourself. You have the ability to move mountains once you maximize the positive aspects of your personality. Chapter 5. Power of Enneagram for Relationships and Personal Growth. Relationships form an important part of our everyday lives. The connection you have with your family, loved ones, friends, and even yourself plays a critical role on your sense of happiness and personal success. That is how the power of Enneagram comes as a helpful tool to unlock the hidden door of truly understanding people and connecting to ourselves and others on a deeper level. Have you ever done something when you were upset or hurt that left you puzzled afterwards? Or have you watched as a loved one acted unusual and different, and you had no clue why? It is natural to be living with someone for years and still have hidden depths and corners in them we don't know about. What can we expect, really? We have lived with ourselves for a lifetime, yet we often don't know our complete inner side. Thanks to the power of Enneagram, not only you can discover, for the first time ever, why you are the way you are, but you also receive the most effective tool to see through people's actions and unlock their inner side. It is truly a beautiful gift to be able to understand why everyone acts the way they do and reach the core of their heart. As one wise friend always said, the greatest need for us is to understand and be understood, because that is the basis for true, unconditional love and acceptance. So, how can the Enneagram help you improve your relationships? Here are simply 3 ways you can expect to benefit from learning more about Enneagram relationship tips in your personal and business life. 1. Know yourself and your powers and weak points. You are a truly unique human being. The gifts you bring to this world every day with your energy and presence is a magical combination of your strengths and weaknesses. We all have both, whether we accept it or run away from it. And the strongest and smartest people are those who embrace their skills and follow their inner calling, and also are aware of their dark side and learn to live in peace with it. So the Enneagram helps you get in touch with both sides and grow from both. In a perfect world, you don't need to hide or run away from your fears or weaknesses. You can embrace your inner self with all that it brings to the table. That is when you're at your highest, and the Enneagram helps you exactly with that. 2. Understand others around you. We are social beings, that is for sure. We thrive by being surrounded by people we love and connect with. When the inner voice in you clicks with someone else's, the sparks fly. And that moment of understanding and connection is truly priceless, isn't it? That doesn't happen very so often now, does it? Actually, sometimes it seems to happen once in a blue moon when we truly and deeply connect with someone else. When you truly feel like you share the same vision, the same energy, and the same passion, so to say. So what if I told you that can happen every day? What if you could see through people's guards and masks and see the pure inner child in them? What if you could skip the small talk and have a heartfelt connection with a stranger after 5 minutes? Wouldn't it be magical to go through the day like that? It truly would. And the good news is, it is absolutely possible. After 5 years of working with the Enneagram, it has been a powerful journey to finally be able to understand loved ones. You'll find out more about how you can develop that power in the next guide soon, so stay tuned. 3. Find your unique pathway to growth and ultimate happiness. Have you ever felt out of place in a job or among a group of friends? Have you sensed this in your gut that you didn't belong there, but you suppressed that voice anyway because it didn't make sense? What if you could find out the place you truly feel at home for the first time ever? What if you get the tools necessary to discover what you are truly meant for, the career that brings out your passion to life, the relationship with whom you feel at home with? With Enneagram, it is all possible, and so much more. Once you discover your unique Enneagram type, you will see as bright as the sun what your inner calling is and how you can enhance your relationships at home and in your workplace. 4 steps to better relationships through the Enneagram. One of the most powerful ways to use the Enneagram is for deepening your relationships with others. I believe that understanding others on a deeper level can help you to work, live, or love them better. The Enneagram will give you insight into what makes someone tick and often gives perspective which can propel your relationship beyond most interpersonal issues. This information is held in such high esteem. It is currently being used by therapists, life coaches, and in business to create more dynamic and efficient teams. This is not your average typing system or hocus pocus. 1. Determine your own TOSH to understand better. It is my hope that you know your type already and at least have some understanding of the Enneagram. If not, I would suggest looking at an overview of the Enneagram and the 9 types. You should get yourself acquainted with the 9 types and your own type before you attempt to understand someone else better. As with most types of personal development, an ounce of self-understanding is a pound of understanding others. If you are truly stumped with finding your own type, I would suggest trying a free Enneagram type test. These are not 100% perfect, but they can usually peg someone to 1 or 2 types, and you can take it from there. 2. Look at the fears and desires and key motivations of the type you're hoping to understand more. On Wikipedia, you can take a close look at the fears and desires of the type you're looking to understand more. For instance, if that person happened to be an Enneagram type 7, their fears and desires would look like this. basic fear of being deprived and in pain, basic desire to be satisfied and content to have their needs fulfilled, key motivations want to maintain their freedom and happiness, to avoid missing out on worthwhile experiences, to keep themselves excited and occupied to avoid and discharge pain. Taking a close look at this will give you some insight into a problem you might be having or a way to avoid future problems. Enneagram Type 7s are infamous for being afraid they're going to be left out of the fun or stuck in a boring place without a way out. That may seem a little dramatic, of course, but it's true. So if you are an office manager, it would be unlikely that your office's Enneagram Type 7 would be the best person to man the phones all day. The 7 would be more suited to be out on sales calls or mowing the lawn. Think excitement, short attention span, not really an anchor. Dear 7s, don't take this personally. I'm a 7 too. 3. Look at your type compatibility. You can select your own type and the type you're looking to understand better. To continue with our example from above, let's assume that the office manager is a Type 3 and the worker is still a Type 7. Here is a part of the compatibility report. This is a highly complementary pair. Both types are self-assertive, have high energy, and are outgoing and capable of being around people with relative ease. Both types bring optimism, a future orientation, the sense of possibility and renewal to their relationships and to enterprises they become involved with. 3s can work alone more easily than 7s, although both are stimulated by interacting with people and both can be excellent communicators of their ideas and values. Both are persuasive and articulate, often lively and attractive, making them sought-after company. Both have a youthful orientation such that they feed off of each other's energy. No other couple is as vivacious or gregarious as the 3-7 couple. This is probably the highest energy combination of types, and they wholeheartedly engage in lots of activities, plans, and projects with the emphasis on attaining the good life. The focus is on sociability, going out, having adventures together, and on realizing possibilities and on finding personal fulfillment. 4. Use this for good only, not evil. Once you get a grasp on all of this, you have a lot of inside information into people's motivations. You also get a lot of perspective on how you work with others. It's a lot of responsibility. Don't go abusing your power and manipulating situations. Be good, and the study of the Enneagram can bring a lot of clarity and peace to your relationships. Performers are free thinkers who tend to harbor a deep-seated fear of failure. They often measure success based on the respect and approval they receive from others. They are image-oriented people who can provide an outwardly positive, well-groomed appearance despite sometimes feeling completely desperate and negative about their lives. They are great politicians as they instinctively know when to say nothing. They also excel in selling and advertising roles as their positivity and go-getting approach tends to attract other people. Their positive qualities can make them great leaders, but in their drive for success, they can sometimes cause resentment and frustration. They will rely on their natural charisma and charm to get them out of these sticky personal relationship difficulties. They are natural talkers, and being so optimistic and confident, they believe they could probably sell snow to the Eskimos. The negative side of their personality type is that they cannot bear any criticism, even if meant constructively. They often interpret being criticized as failing. Being masters of their communication, they can easily use sarcasm as a means of putting someone else down. As their primary motivator is a fear of failure, they will be intolerant of any behavior which is socially unacceptable. This can extend to their children's poor table manners, rudeness, or boldness. Anything that could potentially reflect badly on them is simply not tolerated. Are you a performer? Do you often feel like you're wearing a mask or acting a role? The world sees a confident go-getter, whilst you might see someone who is a bit of a failure. Do you have very few close friends, but a number of friendly acquaintances, mainly related to your field of work? Is it difficult for you to relax and just do nothing? Do you worry about letting people get too close to you in case they see you are in fact a failure? Do you worry that other people you work with will eventually find out that you are not really capable of doing anything right? Try these simple tips to help restore the positive aspects of your personality type if you are a succeeder. Allow other people to love the real you, not your job or your financial status. Learn to accept yourself. Get rid of the mask. Whilst nobody likes a serial moaner, people who are always on top of the world can be difficult to live with too. Try to appreciate your life as it currently stands. Stop waiting for the next pay raise or promotion to enjoy life. You can learn to channel your negative characteristic of frantic activity into goal setting. Instead of focusing on outer success, use your natural abilities to work for the benefit of everyone's success. Chapter 6. Which makes the best leader? Idealistic, pragmatist, or pragmatic idealist? We all claim we seek the best leadership for our organization and or want to be the best leader possible, yet are often challenged regarding the necessities of leading, as well as precisely what type of individual is best suited to lead. One of the main challenges is identifying precisely what type of person someone is and how he might behave when he becomes a leader. This involves differentiating and understanding the differences between an idealist, pragmatist, or a pragmatic idealist. Are these merely rhetorical occurrences, empty rhetoric, or character differences, which are significant differentiators between precisely how one might proceed, plan, and focus upon? Therefore, let's review the key differences between being an idealistic, pragmatic, or pragmatic idealist, and how each might impact one's leadership skills and style. 1. Idealist. Robert Frost originally wrote it, and John F. Kennedy was, perhaps, the first politician to use the following words. Some people see things as they are and ask why. I see things as they ought to be and ask why not. Idealism helps us seek the best solutions possible and be open to alternatives, etc. True idealists possess meaningful dreams and goals, often emphasizing a modern-day equivalent of nirvana. However, unfortunately, a dream without a viable plan often accomplishes little, and we should always ask any potential leader not only how he would implement his goals, but whether they are truly realistic and what the costs and ramifications, both positive and negative, of his approach might be. 2. Pragmatist. The pragmatist looks at the glass neither as half empty or half full, but rather on the details and difficulties. Unfortunately, this approach often becomes self-limiting because it often automatically eliminates alternative courses of action, merely because it's not the way it's always been done. While this type of mindset is often a somewhat ideal one for a manager, proceeding this way without a significant goal or set of goals inhibits quality, meaningful, effective leaders. 3. Pragmatic idealist. Ideally, this approach merges the best aspects of both the preceding ways. It creates a quality, head-heart balance where one leads by example, focuses on needs, concerns, and priorities, but also understands how to get things done. The greatest idea, unless it accomplishes and achieves something, is merely empty rhetoric, unless there is a plan of action to articulate, motivate, develop, involve, and get things done. The Enneagram as a master tool for transformation. The Enneagram is an ancient tool of uncertain origin, said to be brought in by real genies somehow. Also called the Sufi numbers, is like the chessboard game and some other things of amazing design that have always been around. The Enneagram is an outline of the 9 basic personality types. It shows the advantages and limitations of every intelligent being born in this planet. The outline of the 9 personality types with a modern interpretation is as follows. 1. The perfectionist. The number 1 is a much disciplined person, wants the best quality at any price. They make pretty good villain characters in movies because they are very unconcerned with human suffering. They are the perfect inquisitor. 2. The server, also known as the helper or the saint. They are usually very service-oriented people, helping everyone. Sometimes they become intrusive manipulators that want others to do what they want because they feel it is the only right and good way to do it in the universe. A classic is the beggar that yells at people. 3. The chameleon, also known as climber. This guy is nice and all gifted, but his niceness is just apparent. You can see them changing before your eyes and turning against you as a crisis emerges. Nobody can usually believe that they are fake personalities because they build a nice smile and an outlook of a good character, while in reality, they are kind of divorced from their true feelings. 4. The extra sensitive is an artist-like personality, tends to depression and envy of what others have done with their lives. Some suicidal tendencies are possible because he is aware of his own impulses at the same time that feels guilty about it. For others, it may seem as if such a person exaggerates in her emotional concerns about other people's reactions. 5. The paranoid nerd. This guy is very intellectual, but at the same time, he gets distracted. He sees logical connections in everything. He always wants to know the right explanation for the relevant phenomena that occur everywhere. He may get paranoid and build conspiracy theories and cure-all remedies. He likes recognition for his brilliant mind and also wants to find a way to fit in the world he sees around as somehow frightening. 6. The devil's advocate. He can be a loyal follower or a bad, seditious gossiper enemy. Inside, he has a lot of tension that he relieves by finding the worst interpretation possible for other people's behavior and telling everyone what his twisted mind thinks. He assumes everybody else to be the worst except the one that he is loyal to. He may look like an unconcerned bastard, but he is a very dutiful hard worker and a masochist character. 7. The maniac. This guy is Peter Pan. He never grows up. He is always an immature child. He yells and fights for things and items that he needs so badly that it is even scary. It could be food, video games, a ticket for the theater, you name it. He is selfish and not too often concerned about sharing the goods evenly. 8. The tyrant dictator. He could also make a great boss or leader. He has a very powerful personality, always grounded in the bottom line. When he is unbalanced, he may act as a mafia chief, threatening everybody who doesn't accommodate to his desires. In the positive side, he could be a true hero and a philanthropist. 9. The 9 is the most unavailable person in the planet, a peacemaker kind of alienated, unconscious person that lives in a perpetual quiet disconnection. He or she may go with you to a party and then forget completely that you are there. Sometimes they have awakenings like, "Oh my, but you've been here all this time?" The Enneagram is in reality a master tool for transformations, used by group dynamics trainers to create transformational exercises touching every aspect of the human shadow limitations pool, with the intention to overcome it. It creates the most tremendous breakthroughs in shadow master transformations, and it has been a matter for very serious studies. Thanks again for buying my book. If you have a minute, please leave a review. I take reviews seriously and always look at them. This way you are helping me provide you better content that you will love in the future. A review doesn't have to be long, just 1 or 2 sentences and a number of stars you find appropriate. Hopefully 5, of course. Also, if I think your review is useful, I will mark it as helpful. This will help you become more known on Amazon as a decent reviewer and will ensure that more authors will contact you with free ebooks in the future. This is how we can help each other.